Yiddy.
Yiddy.
You can start rapping soon as that part go on.
Yo, check it.
Ad libs.
I grew up, screw up. Okay.
Damn, what song was that?
Running. Tupac. Biggie. Deuce to the Game got
Yeah. Damn, I ain't heard that song in forever.
What?
We
had to grow jams to change on the script. Eminem put that together.
Eminem did that?
Because they didn't really obviously create a song together. Yeah.
I didn't know M did that, though. I don't know why I thought it was.
That's
Because he's not even a producer.
Right?
Yeah, I thought it was Dre or something.
No, it was
Dre and Diddy.
Okay.
Oh, let me put my phone on silent.
Oh, word. Yeah.
That's good. Because it's gonna pick it up. I'll put my airplane on.
Okay.
Alright.
And we're recording. Hey guys, we are back with another episode on Venus and Mars. I'm your host Shantel, and this is Vaughn.
That's right, Vaughn.
And today we are talking about cheating. What's considered cheating and what expectations versus reality, right? Yeah. So I guess let people know like what perspective you're coming in with, like based off like, you know, where you're getting your facts from, your information and all that.
Yeah.
Outside of personal experience.
Well, a lot of what I say is going to be based on some personal research on general behavioral science, but from a man's perspective.
Okay.
And I'll
What's the
sprinkle
science?
a little bit of personal, because that's all I can do.
Cool.
And personal can be myself, but more than likely close friends and
Okay.
network and whatnot.
And then the science-based stuff, that's, you know, I like stuff like that. I like personal experience, but I also love facts based off studies. So I'm excited about this. But I think we're gonna start with like what's considered cheating. I want you to go first. What do you think is considered cheating?
Okay.
Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah, you gotta go
Okay,
first,
cool.
because it's different.
Okay, so for me, I personally think that cheating is anything that involves deception or anything that you wouldn't do with your partner knowing. So if you're trying to hide it or, you know, whatever, you wouldn't let your partner see it, it's probably cheating. And I just think that it's not just about, I think there's emotional cheating and there's physical cheating.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the gist. We'll get into that, but that's pretty much like what I consider cheating. What about you?
All right. For me, it's a little more black and white.
Okay.
For the most part, intimacy, but I think anything that defines your relationship, once you mimic that with someone else, it's infidelity.
Okay, so anything that defies your relationship and mimics infidelity.
Well, no, anything that defines your relationship and you take that and mimic it somewhere else,
Okay.
that's considered cheating. So
Okay.
you kiss your girl every day, now you kissing someone else, cheating.
So if you kiss your girl every day, but then you go out one day and you meet a girl and you kiss her, that's not cheating because you don't kiss her every day?
No, kissing, just the act of kissing.
Okay.
You're trying to find the loopholes.
Nah, because you said anything that mimics your relationship. So you said if I kiss my girl every day and then do it elsewhere, so that's why I'm just trying to break it down. So
yeah, not the frequency, but more so the act of kissing.
The act of
because
kissing.
that's something that defines the confines of your relationship with your woman, and because you're not just going around kissing everybody, you're kissing your woman only. So the moment you mimic that somewhere else, you cheated.
So do you think that? Would you consider flirting cheating?
No.
Tell me why.
You know, I think some people are naturally flirtatious, but then flirting is subjective. So if you're kissing somebody, that's not flirting. That's
you're acting.
you're acting, right? But like to hold a conversation, well, an appropriate conversation, anyone can define it as flirting, and it's too subjective. So it's just, you know, that's why it's a gray area that I don't think is cheating. What do you think?
Question. If you found out, like maybe, let's say if you happen to come across, because men don't look through their women's phones. Like, no, only women do that apparently.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Men also don't cheat. Black men don't cheat.
That's right.
Did you ever hear that whole thing?
Absolutely.
Black men don't cheat?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't cheat if you're single.
Oh my God. So, okay.
JK.
No, because that's another, I want to get into that too. Like, what's considered cheating in a relationship, like a dating relationship versus a marriage? Like, in your opinion. Obviously, we're just sharing our own personal opinions and some facts. I mean, some studies and all that stuff. But, okay, so going back to the messages. If you happen to see your girl talking back and forth to a guy in a flirtatious way, would that at all take away trust, the trust that you have for her?
No. I mean, if you kind of have to know your partner though, right? If you kind of know their mannerisms, and you would know if they're truly like doing something that they shouldn't be doing. You should know. You should know your partner enough. So hopefully it wouldn't take away trust because you kind of know how their body language when they're talking to certain people. But just a conversation, right? An appropriate conversation that you're not sitting there talking about having sex later. It's a conversation.
So if you saw your girl heart-eyeing a man's pictures and being like, damn, your body look good, blah, blah, that's cool?
Oh.
Because that's flirting.
Is that flirting?
Yes. It is flirting. What is it?
I think, so the confines of a relationship. If you agree to a monogamous relationship, then theoretically, your eyes should be just for that one person, right? That means your heart eyes and your compliments, well, to some degree, is for your person.
Yeah.
Now you're taking that to someone else.
Okay.
Cheating.
Cool. So that's not flirting though? Because that is a form of flirting, because she could literally have no desire. She has no plans to actually meet up with this man, exchange numbers, but maybe she just wanted some attention from a man, so she heart eyes him just to see his response or whatever. To me, that's flirting. I mean,
that's a solid point. Point.
Okay, so would you say, if you would, prior to this, if you said that flirting isn't cheating, right? So would you say there's levels to flirting? Like, if it's an innocent flirt, like, I don't know, like, let's say if a man commented, like, because niggas be doing this, you have a picture, and they'll send you your picture in a DM and comment on it instead of doing it underneath the picture. So let's say a man did that to your girl, and he's like, damn, you look good, or whatever, and she was like, thank you so much, and put like a bunch of heart, or she's just doing something to where it's like giving him a little bit of a go to say more. If you saw that, would you consider that cheating? Or would you consider that flirting? And is that okay flirting or not okay flirting?
Okay. That's a good one. And that's why I say it's so hard, because flirting can be so subjective.
Yeah.
For me, it's a little different. Like, I need to see niggas in some manner get at my girl. Not need to see it, but like, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All that matters is her reaction to it.
Right.
Not what, because they don't know, unless they're like blatantly disrespecting me, like they know that's my girl.
Right.
Like, fuck your nigga. Then, can we curse on the podcast?
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
cool.
I put it under explicit. It asks me if this is a clean podcast or explicit. I put explicit just in case.
All right.
So here we are.
So it's a little different for me, because I'm okay with that, as long as my girl's reaction is appropriate.
Word.
I don't see anything wrong with that. Innocent dude don't know you got a man.
Right.
You look great. Hey, you look great.
Right.
Her reaction is thank you. Okay, leave it at that. Now if it starts ongoing and you don't ever say you got a man, then now we might have a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's definitely levels to flirting.
Real quick, let me ask you. Her responding thank you, that wouldn't bother you at all?
No.
The act that she's even responding to the man's?
No.
Okay. Just checking. Okay, cool.
Now if it's continuous now.
Right.
I'm
I'm seeing this man a lot in your pictures.
Yeah. Because the problem becomes, and we'll get into this a little bit, the problem becomes men though, right? It's like, if you innocently compliment a woman not knowing, because you don't know if they're married or not, you're complimenting, right? Especially if you don't see them posting or whatever. But then the problem becomes arousal for men and making irrational decisions based on, in layman's terms, the prenup.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, because remember post-nut clarity?
Wait, what?
Post-nut clarity, you know what that is? You ever heard that term before? When after a man ejaculates, he comes to the senses. You ever heard that?
Oh, I mean, I can understand that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But I never heard it said that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never heard the term.
So they start making irrational decisions, and that becomes troublesome. And it's your woman's job to be like, set the boundaries, say, hey, I got a boyfriend.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen, now you got a problem.
Right.
But yeah, I do agree that there are levels to it, and which is why I say it's so subjective. But there's a point where it's no longer flirting and it's full-on cheating.
Yeah.
So that point is different for many people.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just anything that defines your relationship with your person that you replicate somewhere else without your person. That's so,
That's what you. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say that there's more things that we can accept a man? There's things about a man cheating that we can accept versus like we can't accept that with women. Like, do you think there's levels? Like for example, I've heard that it's worse when a woman cheats. Bullshit. It's worse when a woman cheats because there's usually some emotion involved in that, and men, it hurts more. Emotional cheating hurts more. So people look at it like it's worse when a woman cheats because when a man does it, it's purely lust and nothing afterwards. Versus a woman, she has to have some emotional tie. So what's your thoughts on that?
I'm not gonna lie. I think that's real. I think that's real because truly, men and sex is completely different than women and sex. It's gonna sound bad, it's almost a sport for men. Literally, like, you can have sex and be completely, like, the whole soul tie stuff, I don't believe none of that. Soul ties and whatever else y'all be saying, chakras and I don't know. I don't believe none of that. It's legitimately pleasure. And it's different for women, and we can get it. This is kind of a different subject, but it's different for women for a few reasons. And I think studies obviously show that there's some disparity between men and women in sexual drive. And I think the underlying reasons for that, and not to go too much off topic,
Cool.
but I think the underlying reason for that is pleasure. So as humans, we see pleasure. And a man is gonna climax every single time.
Word.
A woman, none of y'all, right? Barely none of y'all. Real talk. So you ask any dude in the world.
You're right.
For real, it's bad, and niggas don't even care, or they don't have. I don't even know what it is, but and I think that's why there's a difference in sex. So it's like, is it really that your sexual drive is lower, or is it that you don't look forward to it as much subconsciously because it's not as pleasurable? But for men, we for real seeking the nut, and we can separate that because of how pleasurable it is for us 100% of the time.
I can see that point. However, I think that if that was completely valid, women just wouldn't have sex in general, even with their partners. If most women are not going to have an orgasm during sex, they wouldn't even desire sex with their partner if that's the case. So I don't think that's true. And there are women out there women are evolving. Like, women are like niggas now. Like, women are changing, and like, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I mean, I think that women are evolving. This is kind of like another topic, but I think women are evolving based off, like, after a while you get so effed over by men that you're just like, fuck it, I'm gonna be out here too. So I say that to say, I feel like there's a large population of women who are just seeking sex as well. So let's say, for example, you have an amazing man, Like he does everything right, but he's not dominant. So you still love the hell out of him. He does everything right, but he's not fulfilling your desires in a certain way. There's women who could be,
So dominant just in the bedroom, or
that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's
so they'll go seek it elsewhere.
I mean, but that's something to yes, that's a thing. Like think about I don't want men to just have this idea. And let me just put this out there. I do not condone cheating. I'm not. But I'm just saying, from a realistic standpoint, men have to get it out their head that it's straight up emotional, because it's not for a lot of women. It's not.
Yeah, I was under the impression that for the women that actually have a similar sexual appetite, they're the anomaly in the bell curve, right? Because some women, it's super easy for them to climax, so they're going to seek it as much as men, versus the normal distribution of women who don't experience that on a normal basis or experience it late in life, kind of don't. So I think the anomalies exist. I don't know if they're becoming the majority anytime.
No,
soon,
And I agree. I think that for the most part, there's more men than women who are seeking it purely for pleasure. I agree that that's the case, but I'm just saying I don't want it to be this narrative that it's worse that women do it because there has to be this and this for a woman to cheat. So there's more. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. I don't think it's right to say one is better. Whatever. I just feel like cheating is wrong regardless of your sex.
That's real.
It shouldn't.
Yeah, I think men might make that excuse because there's a double standard in society.
Absolutely.
That benefits men.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
So of course we want to make you feel worse for cheating than we do. But it's cheating.
Yeah. And I also, this is not really on topic either, but I also think that it takes men longer to get over cheated on or effed over by a woman.
We're not used to it.
Yeah. Then women, women are
I'm
more likely to forgive. Yo, I was just having this conversation with someone. Men hold on. Men hold on to pain way longer than women.
Well, when it comes to relationships.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Everything else, no, but.
Yes.
Women are honestly, to be really honest, for men, women are the single most important aspect of life, I'd say. Women and money. But money gets women. That's just how society works for us. And it's if you think about just societal standards and men fighting wars for women and just the whole love story of men doing super crazy irrational things for women. That's always the narrative, but it's rooted in some type of truth. If women didn't exist, wouldn't be no barbers. Everything we do is for women.
I don't agree with that.
Really?
I don't agree with that. I think subconsciously everything that men do is for men. I think that they are in competition with other men. Even the idea of getting a bunch of women is to look better than the next man. It ain't about the women. Yep, that's what I believe. I truly believe. You see a man down the highway with a dope ass car, he's looking for another dude who got a similar car or something to where he can race next to him. He not if he sees a woman, it's like, all right, cool, I want her to see me. But for the most part, I believe that men are in competition with other men. That's another topic, but yeah.
Interesting take. So to the idea of cheating and what defines cheating and that narrative, it's a narrative that we're not getting away from anytime soon. But I do think it benefits men. But I do think it's some truth to it. But again, cheating is cheating. You're right. So it's whatever.
Would you say, because my thing is I think that I know this is not realistic, but I think that if everyone goes in with the mindset of, would I want my partner seeing this or would I want my partner doing this? To me, that's the best way to keep your moral compass on point. If you're ever questioning I have weird ass analogies, but this is an analogy I'm gonna give that just popped in my head. It's kind of like, you grew up Christian? So it's kind of like the concept of learning that you're supposed to wait until marriage to have sex. So what did a lot of people do? They did everything else around it that wasn't intercourse. Because it's like, as long as I'm not having intercourse, it's fine. Instead of thinking about the point of not doing it, they're focused on trying to figure out how they can get around it.
The dry hump days.
Word. Word. So I say that to say, even with the cheating thing, like I feel like a lot of people can be like, well, technically this isn't cheating because I'm not this. So if you, instead of just having that mindset, it's just going in with the mindset of, would I want my partner doing this and would I want my partner seeing this? I feel like that's the best gauge to figure out whether or not it's wrong.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to like stay on track, in my opinion.
That's I think that's a solid point. But here's one challenge though. What if your significant other is jealous for whatever reason? Doesn't have to be because of you. It could be because of past relationships and trauma.
Yeah.
And literally, like, a conversation gets them jealous, right? So it's
what type of conversation?
Like you're going to a networking event, and there was a coworker there that she met that she thought liked you, but they didn't like you because she was attractive, right? You're going to the event and you don't want to tell her because your coworker there, but you're going to advance your career.
Yeah.
And you don't tell her that you're going. Is that, like you don't tell her because you're afraid that she's gonna bite your head off, or what do you?
I mean, I think if your intentions are pure, like if you really check in with yourself and like my intentions are in the right space, some things are better left unsaid. I agree. I think that if it's eating at your conscience though, invite her. Or, and I think that like this is a thing too, like there's not a lot of compromising in shit. Like I feel like a lot of men, and I don't want to generalize, but I'm just going off my own experiences. Like instead of just understanding the nature of women and accepting it, men are always trying to like go against it. Like, no, this is wrong. She shouldn't feel this way. I feel like if you just like, if your goal, like you're working together in a relationship, right? So if your goal is to like make it work with this person and you really want to show this person that they can trust you, just do things that are going to build trust. Stop trying to fight against. Like if this is the person you want to be with and you see they have trust issues, stop having trust issues. No, do things to build their trust. And to me, it's just that simple. And it's like, if that's not what you want to do, then let it go. But otherwise, like people are gonna come into situations, dating and all this stuff with baggage. Nobody is done. I can't stand when people say, men, and I only date men, so I'm not bashing them, but this is what I'm saying. Like, I hate when men will be like, stop comparing me to the last dude, or stop feeling as if like I'm gonna do what happened to you. If your actions are similar to something in the past, I'm gonna get triggered. Like that's anybody. Even think about, like I said, I have weird analogies. Think about dogs. Like you could have an abused ass dog, right? How long does it take for them to stop being scared and being in that corner?
That's real.
They need to see consistency. They need to see that you're nurturing them until they can finally trust you. It's the same with us. Like we need to see some level of consistency and safety before we can really let go of our past experiences. I would say that goes for both, but
no, I agree with that. I think to kind of trust the average human to have that much emotional intelligence is kind of a big weight. But it would be nice. But I totally agree with that. It's just tough to put that kind of pressure on someone, considering all of the other aspects of life that they got worried about. But if they really do pay attention and care enough, I think they'll eventually get it. But what about the self-care that you have to do for yourself to kind of get yourself out? That's important as well, because putting all that pressure on one person is just, it's tough.
No, I agree. I think that there's a level of healing that happens on your own that is necessary, like 1000% necessary. But then there's some healing that has to be done with a partner. Like that's just what it is. I mean, and it took a while for me to accept that truth because I've been in therapy for a while and I'm still in therapy, and like I would always get frustrated when like I'm like, damn, I thought I healed from this. Why did this trigger this? But then it's just like, nah, it's gonna take. You thought you were healed on your own, but how you really gonna know until you're with someone?
Yeah, that's real. Things start resurfacing.
Of course, things are gonna be great.
Yeah.
By yourself, no one's pulling at anything.
Yeah.
So I think there has to be both, but I do believe that a large portion of that has to be healing on your own. And I've said this in a few of the other episodes as well, but I think that people healing and spending time alone without dating, that's like the first step. Like before you even get into a situation or anything, there needs to be a level of healing done on its own. But anyway, I'm curious, like based off what you've read and the statistics, I can't talk. The statistics.
The data.
Based off the data, what's your what conclusion did you come to? Or I'm curious.
Well, all right. Controversy. No.
Controversy.
All right, so
Yes.
listen. I hope I articulate this appropriately on behalf of men, because I think a lot of men don't even know just how powerful
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
How powerful our penis is to our decisions.
Okay.
And it would be great if women understand that as well. But here's something that's interesting to me. Women on one side know to use the sexual appeal to influence the behavior of a man, right? And
before I agree with that, give me an example.
Like, women know what to say, what to wear to get their man, even if they're in a relationship, right? Something that you say or do that arouses him to get your way.
Okay.
Right? Like, women, I believe, and you confirm with me. First of all, let me ask you, do you think that men are influenced by sexual appeal from women?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. See that?
Absolutely.
I love how strong that answer was.
Yeah, that's
so
to even deny that is just stupid.
So here's the thing. On one side, women understand how powerful and how much they can influence a man's behavior based off this.
I like when your accent just randomly comes out. Amon.
Oh, Amon. Yeah, that's not
He's Jamaican.
You see me? So so women on one side understand just how powerful they are in influencing the man's behavior, even to make irrational decisions, right? Like spending beyond their means, right? This is normal dating marketplace practices. Okay. I mean, prostitution is the oldest profession, right?
That's real.
It's for men.
Whether it's direct or indirect.
Exactly, right? So let's set that truth. Let's take that truth and set it aside.
Okay.
But on the other side, those same women are unrealistic about their influence when they're not around. And for me, I think it's the princess effect. Like, yes, I can arouse you, but I'm the only one because I'm special.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I feel like that's unrealistic.
No, right? When you leave, someone else is arousing him.
Yeah.
Right? And men, I think we underestimate just how influenced we are by our penises. And this all gets back to cheating, by the way.
Okay.
And if women really, first off, if men understood it, and then if women understood it, we can have some better conversations about reality. But so in this book I have here, there was some sound. It's called Predictably Irrational. It's about behavioral science by Dan O'Reilly.
Okay.
And it talks about the influence of arousal. And what they did was study some heterosexual males and gave them a questionnaire, right, a survey, when they were in a cold, impassionate state. And these were some odd sexual activity questions, right? And then they aroused them through pornography and asked them the same questions. And what we saw was some statistically significant or meaningful differences in agreeing with those odd sexual activities when you were aroused versus when you weren't. Like almost double. And the reason why the book is called Predictably Irrational is because humans, in general, we like to think that we make rational decisions, but we don't. A majority of our decisions are habitual.
Yeah.
Right? system 2 thinking, or system 1 versus system 2 thinking. I don't want to go down the weeds of that. But anyways, so if men really understood how impactful their penis was to all their decisions, right? I mean, think about it. You got the president of the United States, Bill Clinton, right? This man,
I not have sex with, what's her name? Monica.
right? But this man, let's take Monica out of it. This man, you have to have a certain caliber to get to the leader of the free world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your schooling, your grades, your networking. You don't just get there off of merit. You get there just being this image.
Yeah.
And you would risk everything that you work for some pussy.
Yeah.
And that's countless for men. That's regular. CEO of McDonald's, right? I mean, too many examples of men just throwing everything they work for away for some pussy. So that study shows that. And the truth is, we underestimate how impactful our penis is, and women definitely underestimate it. And I don't know if I have an answer to it on how we resolve the issue.
Yeah.
But at least understanding the truth can get us to a better place.
Understanding that truth, what would you say, like if someone reads this book and they're in a marriage, what should they take away from it? Should they like...
Fuck your man.
Word. I mean, honestly, like as I'm listening to this, I'm like, are you just saying that we should just literally just deem every nigga that shit? Like,
I mean, well, I start the question, what is not shit? Because it's like the system becomes against us at this point.
mm-hmm.
Like you're wired this way. And this is why like folks in the Bible became, what was that? Eunuchs or something like that? Where they cut their genitalia off?
Yeah.
Because, the Bible
such
says if the right hand offends you, cut it off. That
right.
took that extreme for
mm-hmm.
men to live any type of godly.
Yeah.
And even when Moses, or I think it was Moses in the Old Testament, that was talking about marriage. This is the craziest thing. This is crazy.
I think it was Paul.
It might have been Paul. I don't know who it was. Don't quote me, God.
I know what you're about to say, but go ahead.
But when we talk about marriage and how amazing and sacred marriage is and blah, 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 the way that this particular prophet talked about marriage and the reasoning behind marriage was so wild to me, because it was like, it's good if a man can not marry, but it's better to marry than to burn with passion. So it's
to contain your sexual desires, get married. Yeah.
Like, do you know how strong?
That's great. Yeah.
They like just threw marriage away. Like, just instead of fucking around, go marry.
Just get married.
Yeah. So it's like that's how common it is for us.
That in itself, back then,
mm-hmm.
would have been a good solution, because for one, people couldn't travel the way that they do now. You're not around that many people in these times. And if you are around them, people are already in their own families and things like that. So proximity plays a big part. Because back then, it'd be like, okay, cool, get married. I learned to be content with this person because I'm not seeing that many other options anyway. As opposed to now, we have social media, we have dating apps, we have the ability to travel frequently. Like, there's so many things that plays a role with how much more a man and a woman can be tempted more. Not to go down that rabbit hole, but like, okay, so going back to what you shared here, and then like the solution.
Yes,
I believe that if you're the type of woman that thinks, as long as he's coming home to me, cool, you're gonna accept these statistics. Cool. I personally feel, so I read this book by Rev Run years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was with him and Tyrese. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
Right. Now it's like, I don't want to read nothing by Tyrese ass. But anyway, Rev Run's part was really good. So I'm not saying you have to go to these extremes, but I loved and appreciated his mindset. This man, and when I was at this age reading this, I think I was like 24 or so, I thought it was wild. Like, I'm like, he's bugging. But now I understand. Like, he was saying, like, he makes sure he's proactive about avoiding temptation.
Talk to me now.
He literally said, if he's going on an elevator and he sees a good looking woman going on the elevator, he's hopping off the elevator. He will let her go on that ride by herself and he would take the next elevator.
That's
And back then, I was like, that's wild.
Yeah.
But like he literally, social media, for example, if your ultimate desire is to be married and be faithful, you have to be willing to make sacrifices. So if social media is, if that's tempting for you, might gotta cut it off.
That's a real talk.
If your business is on social media, get a social media manager.
That's a real
But I feel like if your end goal is to have a happy and successful courtship, marriage, do what you gotta do to make it work. Because otherwise, it gotta add up. No woman is okay with her man cheating unless she don't have to. And cool, if y'all on that swinger shit, cool. Like, if it's working for y'all, great. But if that's not the case, I just feel like men can use statistics like this and think, okay, how can I be proactive about avoiding this? Since this is my nature, how can I be proactive about avoiding it? Huh?
Beat your meat.
That too.
Before you go out.
In the car, real quick, get it out.
In the car.
Whatever you gotta do. I'm just saying, like, I don't like this narrative. Like, I've heard so many men say that men are supposed to be polygamous.
Ooh, I heard that. Yeah.
And I really do try to be open-minded.
Yeah.
And I do try to see different perspectives. The reason why I personally can't agree with that concept is because to say men are meant to be polygamous is to also say women are meant to be polygamous. But women are not in a space where to me, polygamy, like a man is not going to be okay with his wife having another husband.
Nope.
So it's one way.
Absolutely not.
Cool, so you don't believe in polygamy then? You believe in like
it's a double standard.
You believe in one way polygamy, and usually it's about sexual desires. It's not about, some men paint this picture of like, oh, it's about building an empire and having different women working in, people I've heard that a lot.
Okay.
I actually, who you like? That's a great concept.
All right.
Right. There's a woman I follow. She's in a polygamous relationship, but it's her husband having different people. Wow. My thing is with polygamy, and it's a whole other topic, but the reason why I don't think it works. What if your wife and this person gets into it? She don't fuck with her no more.
Now what?
Now you got strife in the house. Do you know how hard it is to mesh personalities? Do you know why girls trips don't work? Like, come on. So, like, to me,
they have to believe in it because it's a
you have to believe in it.
Relationship.
But honestly, is it a true belief or is it manipulation or brainwashing? Is this woman really content in her heart with sharing her man?
Well, let me ask you this question. If the man is taking care of everything and the woman has what she wants in terms of not having to work, not having to work to pay a significant portion of the living expenses, and that's a stipulation. So she has what she wants in that regard.
If that's her ministry, that's her ministry. I can't. If that's their arrangement and that works for them, cool. That ain't the case. Most people are not with that.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a level of dependence. Like, it's like, I have to deal with this because I'm depending on this man financially.
But if they're okay with it because I have what I want, I'm cool. Like, I guess
there could be some people that are okay with that.
Yeah.
I would say for the majority, though, I don't think a lot of people are okay with that. And let me go back to this point and about avoiding temptation. I don't think that love alone prevents cheating. To me, I think respect does. And I think that you have to have a great relationship with your partner. I mean, like, you have to me, like, if you have one of your boys, right? You're not going to blatantly respect somebody that you, like, love like family. Like, agape love. Wait, is it agape or is it philia?
I never remembered it too.
Okay. Well, the love that's like brotherly love.
Yeah.
I personally think that you need to have a brotherly love with your partner as well in order to have a certain level of respect for them. And I think that a lot of people go into relationships purely off of lust or off of like attraction, and they don't build that friendship. So now you don't respect your partner like a friend. So when you are in those situations, you may handle it differently because you don't have that friendship dynamic with your partner.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I think that plays a part.
I agree with that. I can see that. But
However,
I think we still kind of underestimate just how powerful it is for men.
Yeah.
Like to make those irrational decisions when you're aroused. Like seriously, like it sounds good. Oh, I'm gonna walk away, dog.
Yeah.
Da da da. No, I'm horny. Like
Yeah.
it's real.
So do you think that if a man cheats, right, and then the woman finds out, how do you think a woman should react? How should she handle the situation?
Man, I'm trying not to trying not to mansplain and argue in my favor, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a tough one. I think if you can't cope with it, then let it go. Like if you know yourself to not be able to cope with it, then let it go. For some reason, I don't have statistics on it, but for some reason, my hypothesis is that women are significantly more likely to be able to cope with it for whatever reason it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Than men are. Maybe you can shed some light on why that is, but
why women can cope?
Yeah, like why does it seem like women can cope with infidelity better than men, or more likely to cope with it than men are? Like what drives that? I don't know.
I'll let you finish your thought, okay. And then I'll.
But I think if you can't cope with it, let it go. If you can, then forgive them.
Yeah.
Same for the man.
Well, I'm gonna go to your point, but let me just say, me personally, I'll be honest with you. Like, I could be a very logical person. So my logic side would say yeah, if it ended up being a one night stand or something like that, and it's not something to where he's building a relationship with her. Part of me is I can understand how it happened. However, my ego says that no woman is gonna be able to look at me in my face or look at my pictures online with my man and be like, I had him. Nah. I will cut it off more so because of my ego. Like I said, my logical side can say if it happened, like I said, if there was no relationship, if it was a relationship, you really fuck with her, definitely no. But if it was it happened, I think I would be a little understanding. I don't know if I would ever trust them again, so it probably would eventually not work anyway. But I'm saying, I think my ego would be more bruised than being so hurt by the action. If it was a quick thing. Like I said, if it was a relational, if they were building an emotional tie, I would definitely be hurt. But if it ended up being I was on vacation and I fucked this girl, and I would be upset, trust would be broken. Again, I don't know if I would be able to stay, but I would be understanding of how it could have happened, as opposed to taking it personal, why did you do this to me? I would understand, he a nigga, come on, he was on vacation. I would understand that. But again, my ego would be more bruised.
Yeah, because it's really the ego for men. So that's interesting to hear. That's enlightening, because it's really the ego for men. A bear pissed in the woods. You can't touch my.
I literally and that's something that's always been in my head. I've always felt so strongly about. I never want another woman to be able to look at me and my man and to say, if she only knew he'd be texting me something, I would nah. And I know this ego.
So if so what if he cheats and he never there's never any. Well, I guess
you don't know.
Yeah,
if he'll ever do it again.
Well, what if it sounds bad, but he respectfully cheats? It never it never crosses. It never gets out to the public. There's never any embarrassment. You know what I mean?
How would you know that?
That he tells you, and that girl don't know who you are, don't follow you, don't know you exist.
So if it happened and he told me the next day.
No, this isn't a quick thing. He has a regular busted baby that he gets to, I don't know, a few times a month, right? So they know each other, but
you already know the answer to what I just said.
She don't know you.
Get the fuck. No, absolutely not.
But I'm saying your ego's not bruised though. It's she don't know you from Eve, right? But
remember what I said before about if it's a quick thing, if it just happened to happen, that's different than you're building a relationship with them. Even if it's not a relationship purely emotional and you're meeting needs in other ways, but it's just the idea it's a repetitive thing. Cool. So I'm not fulfilling you. So go be with her. I'm not. No, absolutely not. I would rather be. And this goes back to me with the whole concept of getting comfortable with your own company.
Mm.
Your standards are different. Like if I'm so comfortable in my own space and like happy with my piece that I've created for myself, and you're gonna come in and ruin my piece and you're an additive, I'd rather just cut you off.
That's real. That's real.
I'm good with that. Like I'm nah.
I got another question.
You had said, yeah, you had asked me a question and I kind of like.
So check this out. So going back to some of the societal understandings of the discrepancy between men and women in sexual drive, or the perceived discrepancy. Let's say you had a difference in frequency, right? So let's say your man's wanted, right? Because it's a human truth. It's a societal thing, I think, where men wanted more often than women.
Okay.
Would you agree with that to some
Yeah,
degree?
yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Normal distribution of the bell curve.
Right.
So what if your man wanted, I don't know, 4 or 5 days a week, you were only truly like actually aroused 2 days a week, 1 day a week, and there's a divide there, right? So now y'all having sex 1-2 days a week.
Yeah.
What should the man do?
So I'm not blind to the fact that that could be a real issue, right? I believe that prior to, I know this, what I'm about to share right now is like ideal situation, not always realistic, but I think that prior to you guys getting too serious, you should have these conversations like about sex drive. Like I think that you should like talk about like, you know, like, okay, like, you know yourself, like what really gets you going? Like, are you, when you're tired, like in your normal state, like when you're not with a partner, if you're tired, how's your sex drive? Or like in your past experiences, how have your sex drive been, has your sex drive been when you're tired or you're stressed out or whatever? I also think there should be like conversations about like what gets you going, because a lot of women can be demisexual or sapiosexual. Men too, but from a heterosexual standpoint, people can be demi and sapiosexual, like to where it's like you have to do things to make me aroused. If you can find that out, because a lot of women, I feel like a lot of women in relationships, I'm confident when I say this, a lot of times their sex drive goes down because a man is not pursuing her the way he used to. So if you're not doing sweet gestures, if you're not doing things like that, like women, and I really don't want to make a generalization, because I know there's someone with just naturally high sex drive. Yeah. But a lot of women, like it's like a reset every day. Like if you haven't done anything sweet to me today or anything like that, I don't want to fuck with you. Like, so it's people, like I feel like that's another thing that men should try to just accept. Instead of fighting against it, just accept it. Like, this is what you want. Well, this is what I want.
Solid point.
And I wouldn't want to feel as if you're doing this just for sex. I want to know that you naturally.
See, come on now.
Just, I know, but like, I would want to know that like, you, like a man would just naturally want to make me happy. Like if you know these are things that make me happy, just like if I know what makes you happy, like can we just be on top of those things? And I think that plays a big part of it too. Like men realizing that it ain't gonna just be I wanna fuck. Like it takes more. Usually it's the foreplay before, and I'm not talking about foreplay like in bed. I'm talking about the foreplay like that day. What did you do that day? So, does that answer your question or no?
Yeah, that does answer your question. I think that's an interesting take on it. It kind of goes back to my point on why I think there's a discrepancy in sexual drive, and that I don't think society has accepted yet, but just the fact that it's less pleasurable or more likely to be less pleasurable for women overall, and then your drive is just, it's kind of like you do what's gonna. But you know that you be pleasured by it. And if you're not pleasured, then why would you seek it as much as a man? Kind of goes back to that a little bit as well, but that's a good point though.
Yeah. And then I listened to a podcast like a few months ago, and the girl had brought up a really good point. She said people have sex for different reasons, and you gotta also learn like why your partner enjoys. Some people it's just strictly for pleasure. Some people, like mainly women, it's for closeness. Like the level of intimacy. It's not just about, and that goes back to what you said about women. Like most women don't have an orgasm, like, or like from penetration. A lot of them don't have but a lot it's intimacy. It's the desire for intimacy with their partner. So you also have to, I think that's another thing, also have to figure out before you get too serious with someone, what's your drive first? Like, what is your meaning? What is sex for you?
I'm glad you said that, because it also goes back to an earlier point about why men cheat and why women cheat.
Yeah.
That's why we say that. It's like, for us, it's not about closeness.
Yeah.
It's not.
Right.
Know? So for y'all, you're trying to be close. Maybe you didn't get the flowers that day.
Yeah.
Or he didn't slap your ass when he was walking by, and now you feel unloved. And we don't even know because we're just busy trying to get to the bag.
But that's the perfect example of how women reset every day. Because you can literally, all the other days, slap her ass, kisses, and then one day you don't do it. What?
That's so much though.
Again, if you are heterosexual and you like women, don't fight it. Just accept it. There's so much that we gotta accept about y'all.
Like what? What you gotta say about this?
There's a lot, but I can't think off the top of my head.
Nothing. That's why. Because
like men there's just things that you guys don't think about that is very frustrating for women, but we kind of deal. Like there's certain like just how like men can like. I've heard so many stories. I have never lived with a man before, but like I've heard some stories about women being like, men just leave their socks and things all on the ground and don't think about it, or like think. I feel like you're like a neat freak. Okay, I read people well. I just feel like you are. So things like that,
that's real. Yeah.
or like things like men being like asking their wife or their girlfriend like, where is this? And it's like, bro, it's right in front of you. How do you, like, there's just things about men that are really irritating to us that we just learn to accept.
No, I don't know about that one, because there's this perception, and I think it's like magnified by media, movies and whatnot, that like you kind of know that marriage relationship where the man seems kind of ditzy and the woman got to do everything for him. I don't know where this comes from, but
I could never.
Why?
I could never deal with that. I mean, that is a dynamic, but that's not always a dynamic. I agree. Like, I was just giving a random example because I couldn't think of anything else on the top of my head. Yeah. But I don't think I don't personally believe that has to be the narrative for a relationship. I wouldn't accept that. Like, that's not even
that type of stuff.
Nah, like, we're not doing that. And that's another thing, having conversations beforehand. How's your living situation?
Well,
going into their house, right?
You gotta,
well, that's real, but
clean up before you get over there for 3 years, and then.
What the fuck is this? Okay, so I feel like so we brought up the respect thing. I want to make sure I brought up. Let me look at my little notes. Okay, so going back to flirting, and I've heard that, like, especially if you're in a relationship for 25 years, right? Or even 10 years, right? Naturally, we all love things that are new. Get a new car, you're obsessed with that thing until like a year and it just don't feel the same, right? It's just natural. It's innate, right?
Yes.
And I feel like after the honeymoon stage is the most dangerous stage for a relationship because it's not new anymore.
Yep.
And it's like, one thing I will say, that as hard as it is for us, because I mean for men too, I'm sure, but for women, as hard as it is to accept this, men are going to be attracted to other women. Like, especially if it's somebody like, if we go outside, you see this beautiful ass tree that's random, and you don't really see a tree like that often. We look at it and we're like, wow, this is beautiful. Like, we do a double take, right? You can't get mad at a man or a woman for you see something that's beautiful, and even if it's, unique looking, or it's just a type of person you don't see often, you're gonna look at them and you're gonna be attracted. You know, like I said, especially if it's just what's the word? I can't speak. Like an exceptionally good-looking person, right? I think that we have to accept that, but I also think it just depends what you do with that. Like, for example, with women, like I don't mind sharing an experience to where it's like, yo, she got a fat ass. Like, I don't mind doing that.
I don't.
Huh?
With your man, you share.
I don't mind that. Wow. What I'm upset about is if you try to low-key look without involving me. Because then again, going back to what I had said before, women, like, we already have it in our head, like, I hate to say it, but that niggas ain't shit. Like we already have it in our head that for the most part, niggas ain't shit, right? So like whenever I see a man with his girl and he look back at me, or even not even just look back at me, but he looks at me a certain way while he walking with his girl, I'm like, to me, so I say that to say if I'm with my man, I never want another woman to be able to feel like that about my man. Like, share the experience with me. If she got a fat ass, I want to look too. Not even on gay shit. I mean, that's cool if you get it all, but I'm just saying, like, on my end, I'm very heterosexual, but it's like, I'd rather you share the experience with me than try to be on the low, because then you're making me look bad.
Yeah, it goes back to the ego thing for you.
Very ego. Yeah.
That's
just
tough though,
real.
because that could be a trap. You know?
How could it be a trap?
Because, man, we go down a rabbit hole, but like, if we talk about why men aren't vulnerable to women, it's because when you're angry, it all comes back right in our face. That's why niggas don't say shit. So it's like, yeah, you can share that moment, but let us argue. You might have looking at bitches' asses. I'm tired of this. Like, and then.
I mean, I can only speak for myself. I mean, that don't with that isolated situation, that doesn't make sense. Like for me personally, because if I'm like sharing that with you and then I bring it up to you later,
a little trap.
That's like to me, unless in that moment you're being disrespectful, like you taking it too far, I'm gonna address it then, but I'm not gonna bring it up. That's a whole other topic, but to me that's weird. But anyway, yeah. So okay, so in conclusion, I guess I'll just share like my little main points about cheating, and then if you want to do the same. But I would say that not just love, respect plays a big factor in the likelihood of cheating. I think that if you accept the fact that you are not immune to cheating, making sure you put yourself in situations, if you desire to keep fidelity as a priority in your relationship, I think that you should avoid putting yourself in situations that could possibly cause infidelity. I didn't bring this up before, but I will. I meant to say this before. I would also say like keeping things fresh in your relationship to where and that went back to my point about things getting old. Keeping things fresh enough in your relationship to where like you're always learning something new about your partner. You're seeing each other in different ways, so where you're not getting so used to them to where they're just not that appealing anymore. Like I think that plays. Is this another topic? Like it might. You can share.
I just feel like that's not realistic.
No.
No. I mean,
what's the longest relationship you've been in?
It's like 3-4 years.
Damn. See, I haven't been in a long relationship like that. So I'm speaking like from a theoretical standpoint.
I'm thinking about marriages. I'm thinking about the fact that we have a 50% divorce rate. There's no way you can learn something new after 7-8 years. Like
kind of.
It's a fairy tale.
Okay, and then my other point would be so kind of going to another topic, but not really. So at church, right? I always remembered like different churches to where like whenever there was like prayer, like altar call, only men could pray with men. Only women can pray with women. When it came to counseling or just any type of situation that was somewhat intimate. I was involved in a network marketing company for a long time, and certain things they didn't condone. It's not that you couldn't do it, but they didn't condone like men and men, women and women. And I understand more now. It was to avoid what could happen. Like if you put yourself in a position to where you can build a level of intimacy with someone, you're setting yourself up for failure.
It's real.
Like, you know, if you're a boss and your secretary is a woman and she's good looking and she's complimenting you and shit, and you in a bad place in your marriage and she's giving you what your partner ain't giving you right now because you're in a bad place, realistically, you're very susceptible to cheating. So I would just say, just overall, just try to put yourself in positions to where you're not susceptible to cheating if you can avoid it. And then just always keeping in your head, would I want my partner doing this? And would I want my partner seeing this? If not, I probably shouldn't do it. What about you?
Yeah, I think these are all solid points. But I do think that when people make that decision, it's for the most part, referencing some of the studies and the realities of men, it's still somewhat of a conscious decision. So it's not like the decision to put yourself in the situation is the decision you made because you want to do it, not because you just fell into some pussy. Like, niggas know.
Yeah.
So I think that's a part of it. So it'd be nice if you don't want to cheat to avoid it, but that's a decision in itself rather than the actual act of cheating. But in my conclusion, I think we have to be logical and realistic and more real about what men go through because we don't talk about it enough.
Yeah.
Society demonizes sex because of men, and it demonizes men for wanting sex. And women don't go through the same things that we go through from a hormonal standpoint when it comes to sex. You don't experience it as much. By the way, do you the whole concept of PMSing and is that real for you? Like, is that?
I could say once I hit like 31, I experienced being overly emotional, like right before my cycle starts, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And I started noticing a pattern of like, okay, my hormones are all over the place. For me, it's more emotional. Like I'm more like my emotions are more up and down. Whether I'm more sad or like it's easier for me to cry over things that I'm not easily like moved by or whatever. Some people have an attitude more or whatever, but for me, it's more like my emotions. But yeah, that's definitely a thing.
The reason why I bring that up is because it's somewhat normal to accept that about women and their monthly cycle, right?
Yeah, because it don't involve infidelity. Keep going.
I'm talking about the hormonal side. I'm talking about the biology side of it. But that's a real thing. But imagine going through that daily, right? Hormonal influences and imbalances daily. That's what men go through every day.
Yeah.
Like literally, many of our decisions are irrational and influenced by our arousal. Like this is really a problem we deal with, like for real. Well, I don't even want to call it a problem at this point, but because that's part of feeding into the narrative of demonizing it. But I think it's important for us to have those conversations as men amongst ourselves about being real, about what we go through, and then for women to understand what we go through. Because I think it's just like you just kind of, how the whole term mansplaining, you kind of like womansplaining, like just control yourself or just.
Yeah.
But you can't tell the under the dog not to dry hump. No matter how much you train it, it's gonna dry hump, right? You can train a dog. You can train a dog to do everything, right? You can train a dog. Give me something crazy you can train a dog to do.
They be doing the buttons thing.
All types of stuff.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where it's like I want to eat and they know to press the eat button.
They still gonna dry hump.
That's crazy. Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we're only a step up from animals, by the way. Don't give us too much credit. As the Bible says, just a step up from animals. Okay? Don't give us too much credit.
Bible in there?
Gotta throw it in there. We're only a step up from animals, so that's why I bring the dog analogy. But so I don't think women are realistic about or really understand what men go through. Just like men don't understand what women go through. Like we can
What's a proactive step that, based off this information, these studies, in your head, what is a proactive step to this? What are you saying that because this is a man's nature, a woman should just accept it?
No.
So
the crazy thing is,
this information?
Like, this is something new for me, like that I've come to realize in an older age, and I haven't gotten to a point of resolve yet. But it's really the first step to anything is understanding it. If we just like turn a blind eye to it and don't accept it, then it will continue this narrative that we have today in society. So I haven't gotten as far as to what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, the easy thing is to masturbate before you do something. I don't know. So you can not be aroused.
Yeah.
That's I think it's the easy tactical thing to do. I don't know. Or make sure that for a woman, make sure your man is satisfied to his liking. I think that's why the Bible says something around that as well, like not denying your body. Yeah. The Bible has a lot of stuff, by the way. I reference it a lot because it's really be having a lot of stuff. Like they thought about all this before we did.
No, yeah.
But like not denying your body for a reason, because they know if you do, he's gonna go make irrational decisions
Right.
elsewhere. So I think that scripture is rooted in that as well. So
Right.
that's the only tactical resolve I have. But I think where I'm at now is like spreading the knowledge for men to embrace it,
Yeah.
and then fix it.
Figure out what to do. Like, just accept it about your nature. A really good book is The Way of the Superior Man. You ever heard of it?
No.
It was on Nipsey Hussle's list of book recommendations. And I love how he breaks down the nature of a man. He talks a lot about masculine and feminine energy. And he breaks down why men have the desires that they have. And based off like that knowledge and like real, you know, how real these things are, he helps give like ways to like work around it. It's kind of like, because it's like he's one time at one part of the book, it talked about how like men can naturally be drawn to younger women. I'm not talking about underage, I'm talking about like an older man being attracted to more of, you know, he breaks down why that is and like why men might be tempted to be with other women, stuff like that. And he breaks that down. I definitely recommend that book for men. And then a point that I want to kind of like end it with is to say this: most people go to work, they hate that shit every day. It brings out every emotion in them. Do you quit? Nah, you create the self whatever to stay at that job. You somehow manage to not curse everybody out every day, right? You might have somebody that annoys the hell out of you and you've thought about killing them 7 different ways. Did you kill them? Nah. That's how I feel about cheating. Just because it's a thought, just because it's like the urge is there, that doesn't give you the okay to do it.
That's real.
And cool.
That's real. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's real. I can't argue that. Honestly, I really can't argue that.
I'm having some weird analogies, but they be coming full circle sometimes. But thanks, guys. Until next time. Cool.
All right.
That was great.
That worked out.
Please be still recording.